My name is Arne Sviashrutas. My current student number is 15048528, and my group number is number 3. The company I'll be choosing would be the company called Burberry UK, and I'll be speaking about the different strategies they use, different sort of ways of how exactly to put up the company to the customers and how exactly they deal with their strategies. I'll be using pestle analysis and SWOT analysis to support my answers, and I'll be also using different research methods to ensure that I do actually get all the information needed to support my answer. Firstly, started to learn about different sort of procedures and different sort of ways how international companies can work. I have learned loads of different many things in return to actually understanding how to deal with international businesses and in the global communities, and how exactly to learn about, how exactly to work with those sort of companies. So during the first week, I have learned many different aspects of the idea of how important it is to study international business strategy to ensure that a business I own in the future is successful. I do understand the fact that the business would need to have different ideas behind to ensure that different dimensions internationally are met, and to ensure that competition is faced strategically through the different multinational corporations. So in terms of a business that would usually try to be successful and try to be actually working well in the environment, they would need to understand what sort of companies there are in the market that could relate to the business as well. So I think the things that I've learned throughout the first units and throughout the first week is that there are many different competitors around, and there are many different sort of people around that try to do a similar thing. This week I did understand that businesses and different multinational perspectives need to have different dimensions, policies and strategies to ensure that the cultures and the different types of minorities are interested in either service or product. During the first week, I remember learning about IKEA and how simply IKEA produces quite not so expensive sort of products for their customers, which basically attracts them to buy the furniture and to also use the furniture. Also, the way how the furniture is created is quite interesting too, as you have sort of special instructions on how exactly to follow it to create the sort of product yourself at home without having to ask anyone to come around and actually do it for you. So that's quite interesting as well, because many different furniture places might not have that sort of information, and it is so interesting how the IKEA company itself create the products step-by-step basis, where you can actually just screw the little bits and pieces and you can actually have the huge furniture to yourself in the house within just a matter of 5, 7 or 8 different steps. So the research I've conducted on IKEA says that those sort of furnitures are relying mostly on Europe. So in Europe it is quite an interesting sort of idea to have and quite interesting sort of product to have. However, during the research when it took place, I discovered that IKEA did not actually succeed in different countries outside of the Europe places. So for example, in China they tried to put out that IKEA sort of furniture, and not many people liked the idea because it was against their culture and against their sort of will on having that sort of furniture. About Burberry now, and then moving over to Unit 2, Burberry can have different sorts of opportunities throughout their future of innovation, as they already are a leading brand and have their own brand that generates amazing profits. They will need to ensure that they continue to lead the brand in a strategic way according to the business fashion. The opportunities that would mostly benefit Burberry would be the idea of historically the changing lifestyle and developed economy saturation. This had helped Burberry to understand the changing taste of preferences, as the education and changing lifestyles of developed economies had enhanced the profitability of the company due to having a higher demand of the most premium goods. Understanding the Burberry changing tastes and preferences, during the lifetime of Burberry, there has been education through the idea of what sort of people like, the changing, ever-living sort of style and fashion that people like to have during the life, and understanding the economy that had enhanced the profitability of the company due to having a higher demand of most premium goods. As Burberry is a company that could develop into the emerging market, for example Turkey and Egypt and other developing countries, they would potentially have a higher sort of need and want, like any other company does have already. For example, Burberry doesn't really put out the sort of brand in Egypt or let's say Turkey because they believe that it's the least sort of needed economy for them, and because there aren't many different people that could actually afford so competition is one of the highest and biggest threats that a company like Burberry would face. Many different brands in the world are very close to the price range of popularity around the globe. For example, Louis Vuitton, Gucci and Dolce & Gabbana presence creates a huge threat to Burberry. Therefore, Burberry needs to find a way how to actually overcome that popularity and become more useful for the economy and more useful for the consumers. As the consumer lifestyle changes continuously, it is a huge threat for Burberry if they don't keep up with the trends in fashion, as the life cycle of fashion changes very quickly. So this could be a huge threat for Burberry in the company if they don't actually look and understand. An analysis into the industry environment would be the personal analysis. The personal analysis for Burberry would actually be a huge benefit to understand what's going on in the company. So Burberry operates around the whole world, not just the UK, as we know, and as it operates on a large scale in many different countries, it will need to ensure that it follows the rules and regulations of each country they are set. The higher the political stability in the country, the more revenue the company can create and more stability within the business there would be. As research shows, Brexit in the UK left a lot of uncertainty for the company too, as Burberry isn't sure what sort of rules there would be, and as Brexit political factors change over time, and we don't understand if it's okay to trade in the UK or not, because we don't really understand what sort of tax rates that will happen. In terms of economy, as their target market is various and they encompass diverse groups of people, Burberry needs to understand that then the needs of the consumers and understand the different cultures and different people that want different products and clothes. For example, having different cultured people wouldn't like the sort of fashion that they have, so they need to understand what sort of cultures, what sort of clothes and what sort of fashion that they like in different sorts of areas. So if they're planning to open a store in India, let's say, they need to understand that the culture there is very different from the European culture that we have, which means that they will be more user-friendly, more sort of environmentally friendly as well, and they're trying to reduce their greenhouse gases usage to ensure that their products are created safely for the environment, which is a great idea too. Understanding the sort of social factors and looking at how exactly they work with the society. They actually have different sort of fashion clothes, they have perfumes, they have jewelry, they have watches, they have different sorts of things that people would need in daily life, which means that they do suit the society needs at some point, but they need to understand what sort of fashion and where that fashion actually goes, because fashion constantly changes, so they need to understand how exactly that changes too. Looking at Unit 4, the analysis of firm's internal environment, I'll be looking at the strengths and the weaknesses. Whereas the strengths of the company is one of the biggest strengths of Burberry would be having an amazing network of retail wholesale, of licensing channel globally, being one of the largest competitors around the globe of the similar product market. They have leading advantages of fulfilling the needs of the customers and understanding the trending fashions that quickly developed into the needed product. Burberry is well known in the UK. They're one of the biggest fashion houses in the country, offering products such as perfumes, beauty products as mentioned. The weaknesses are quite simple. There are many different weaknesses obviously for Burberry because it is a high brand, so many people want to copy it. So there are many different fake copies going around, which means that their value is going down as well, because many people want to look flashy with the Burberry stuff, but because the people that create fake products have such high quality, people start to buy those as well, so they start to lose customers. So they need to find a way how to overcome that and become the leading brand without having those sort of people that go against the rules. Unit 5, critical analysis of the company's shareholders and stakeholders. Burberry has a very different stakeholder who are from either different backgrounds, different cultures, race and religions. They are grouped into different sectors as well, such as management, employees, employers and employees. Also different terms to control the whole image of the brand. Shareholders of Burberry have an enormous interest at it. It is a high profitable company with a lot of money to be made, and shareholders have a very high influence in the company success. They have the decision to power the business model around if they wish, by creating something that others can actually copy and try to create, but it will be the original products of the company. So if they create something different, that would probably hold the value and probably would bring more customers as well, because they haven't done so yet. They don't have a brand that would have something different to other companies. And the strategy implementation, Burberry should find new innovative ideas in the clothing brand industry and get into the market by trying to push out the leading brands away from their ways, such as Gucci, Prada, and D&G. However, this can be done with Burberry industry find strategic pathways and ensuring they invest in high sum of the capital by producing different approaches into ensuring they invest a high sum of the capital into Burberry. So secondly, understanding